I shared an example of a few grant rounds ago when I had a chance to do some very specific work in a geographic area in St. Paul, and I had 6 grants, all focused on the same area of work in the same geography. No one knew each other, no one talked to each other, and no one was collaborating with each other on anything. And that, from a funder perspective, gets to be very difficult to be able to sift through. And we talked about this at our table, where's the voice at in community? Because everyone claimed to have the voice. Everybody was working with the same kids, as most as I could kind of piece out, but no one was working together. And that becomes a difficult piece to bring back. I'm just a program officer. I have to take everything back to our trustees, who for a lot of philanthropy they don't come out of these experiences. That's not been their case. And so from our role, we have to be able to take that back, to sift through all the information and say, well, this is, and not the best organization, but this is where that investment should be. And that's a tough thing to do, because I've done this work. I know what it means to drive the bus, and I know what it means to raise the funds to make it happen. So it becomes a tension for me personally that I have to go through. The other part, particularly with community engagement, has come up a couple of different times, and I know the struggle of finding money for community engagement. It does become a very difficult proposition to talk about with trustees or whoever are the final decision makers who decide on grants. I get what needs to happen in terms of the conversations happening and the time that take. My colleague shared about the journey-oriented part of that. That becomes difficult when you are dealing in situations when people want to see very real-time outcomes in a short-time perspective. And there's always a dance that we always have to do to be able to talk about the journey, to talk about the long-term effects of this that may not affect this generation but may impact the next, but also be able to put those tangibles of what's going to happen in a year or in a year or two. And I get that tension of having to be tied to grant reports and all of those, and that's a balance from our aspect of having to advocate or to be able to share that. So it is a very real tension in that no matter what you think, there are finite dollars that are out there, and we have to make those very difficult decisions. So